Hello book lovers and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the new series I am calling The Grimm Truth. This new series is going to see me taking a dive into all things fairy tales, but not the ones that you are used to. We all grew up with the Disney classics such as Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Rapunzel, but did you know these charming stories actually come from tales a lot darker and twisted by the Brothers Grimm? In this series, I will be comparing the iconic Disney genius to the original Grimm fairy tales. And trust me, things are going to get twisted. From lost limbs to mysterious curses, you're about to see your favourite childhood stories in a whole new light. So whether you're a Disney fan or a folklore fan or just love books, then this series is definitely for you. So make sure to subscribe and click that bell so you never miss an episode of The Grimm Truth. These brothers are from Germany and they started writing fairy tales in the 1800s. And since then, 200 years ago, they have written over 200 different fairy tales that we all know and love, but in the more interesting and dangerous way, to the whimsical, magical way that you probably know it today. On this episode, we are focusing on Cinderella. Cinderella is one of my favourite Disney films, and I was very, very intrigued to see what the Grimm's fairy tale originally was. Cinderella. This is a beautiful, beautiful story about a young girl whose mother tragically dies, and so her father is widowed, and he remarries and finds Cinderella a stepmother and two stepdaughters. And they are horrific. They force all types of atrocities on Cinderella and make her work and clean and cook for them and treated her like absolute dirt. Until one day they are invited to the ball because the prince wants to find a bride. And so the stepmother and the stepsisters go to this beautiful ball and Cinderella isn't allowed until, bibbidi bobbidi boo, the fairy godmother comes and makes Cinderella into this beautiful, beautiful princess-like character. Now Cinderella goes to this ball, has a beautiful time and falls head over heels in love with the prince until, of course, midnight. It hits midnight and she has to go back home because that's when the fairy godmother says all of this magic would end. And so she runs from the prince, losing one of her beautiful glass slippers on the way out. And so the prince hunts down Cinderella by just finding the foot that fits this glass slipper. Yeah, not just, looking at the face or anything. The slipper, the feet, definitely the feet. And so the stepsisters try and trick the prince, but alas, Cinderella is found and they get married and they live happily ever after. And that is the beautiful story of Cinderella. Now, I love the Disney films and the different takes on the films. You have just the bog standard Cinderella, you have a Cinderella story, and so many different versions of it. And they all follow a very similar, lovely structure. So, shall we dive into the Grimm version of Cinderella, in which it was all inspired by? Now, I've read this, and it is actually a very short tale. So, without further ado, let's see what the differences might be. They start off very, very similar, with Cinderella and her father mourning the loss of their beautiful mother and wife. The key difference at the very start of this story is actually the father is still alive when the stepmother and stepsisters are treating Cinderella atrociously. And he just lets it happen. Yes. And a quote that I love from the Brothers Grimm is he describes the stepsisters as beautiful but vile and black of heart. Such an accurate description of those. It was beautiful, very well written. Now, the thing that I also really love is you find out the origin of Cinderella's name, and that is because she is sweeping and lighting fires and cooking, so she gets the cinders and the ash from the fire onto her face, and so they call her Cinders or Cinderella. And that is where her name originates from, which I know comes up in a few of the Cinderella versions, but it's not in the main Disney film. So I found that really, really interesting. Cinderella is truly, truly fed up, and she keeps visiting her mother's grave and crying and wishing for better. And this little white bird sits on the grave and basically gives Cinderella what she wishes for. This is the original fairy godmother in a beautiful, white, gorgeous bird form. So Cinderella keeps visiting the grave and keeps making those small little wishes that are granted by this bird. Until one day, there is news that the king is holding a 3-day festival. Yeah, not just a little ball, a 3-day extravaganza of dancing, singing, eating, drinking, being merry, all with the hopes of the prince finding a bride. 3 days! That's long. That was very long. I mean, the rich, you know, why not? Of course, in this tale, it is very much similar. The stepsisters and stepmothers go out and leave Cinderella to tidy up, and she's not allowed to go. But the little white bird helps her and gives her 3 different outfits for each of the 3 days of the festival. So Cinderella goes to the first day and instantly falls in love with this prince, and they have a beautiful time together. But alas, Cinderella has to go. She runs off. And this is where things get a little bit weird, bordering on psycho. The prince hunts down Cinderella and sees she goes into a pigeon house, so he knocks that pigeon house down in hunting for her. She's not there. And so he's very frustrated. The next day, Cinderella comes back in a new dress, and they get along, they dance, they are merry. But of course, Cinderella has to go and she runs away. And the prince tries to hunt her down again, thinks she's up a tree and gets an axe and cuts that tree down. But no Cinderella. So the third day, he's pretty fed up by now. He covers the steps of the palace in something called pitch. Now, this apparently has to be really hot, almost molten, for it to be really sticky. So he's trying to trap Cinderella so he can make her his bride. Do you get me when I say a bit psycho? He's a bit of a psychopath, bless him. But it works. She gets stuck and she loses her golden slippers. A little bit of a difference there. She has golden slippers on the step of the palace. But she still evades him. The same thing happens. They go hunting for Cinderella using this golden slipper, and they've got to find a foot that fits. Not the face. Definitely not the face. It's got to be the foot. So they go around hunting and they come across Cinderella's house with the stepmother and the 2 stepsisters. And so they try the slipper on. The first stepsister tries it on, but her feet don't fit. So the stepmother says, "Cut off your big toe and then it'll fit." And she does it. She cuts off her big toe. The king is elated. He takes her away, going, "Yes, you're going to marry my son." But then the blood is spotted, and so she's put back home. So the stepsister number 2 tries this, but her heel is too big. It won't fit in the shoe. So the stepmother goes, "Cut off your heel." And of course, she does, and it fits. So the king whisks her away and goes, "Yes, you're going to marry my son." "Oh, wait, no, no, no. There is blood bleeding. You are not the one." Until finally, they find Cinderella, and the shoe, of course, fits. And they are going to get married and live happily ever after. But that is not all. No, no, no. You thought we were done? No, there's a little bit more. And this really shocked me when I read the ending. So they have a wedding. Mother and the stepsisters are invited. And during this story, Cinderella is quite friendly with lots of birds. They're her only friends. And so a couple of these birds come to the wedding and peck out the stepsisters' eyes. Yeah, that happens because wickedness has to be punished with blindness. So don't ever be wicked, because you might have birds come peck out your eyes. And that's where the story ends. Can you see? It is grim. It is the Grimm Truth. But so interesting. And I can see why Disney has adapted it and taken such a good story, but made it more safe and more child friendly so that families can enjoy it. But I just wish everyone knew more about the original stories because they are fantastic. And that's why I wanted to bring this series to you so that you can learn about where it originates from. Absolutely fascinating. I'm not sure if I can really choose a favourite, whether it be the Grimm's fairy tale or the Disney version, because they are so different and so enjoyable in different ways. Obviously, I have the nostalgia for the Disney films, but this is just so interesting, and I love going back to a story's roots and finding where people have got their inspiration from. Let me know down in the comments what you found most shocking about the Grimm's fairy tale version of Cinderella, because I really want to know. I think mine is definitely the pecking out of the eyes at the end. I did not see that coming at all. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you're enjoying this new series. There will be plenty more because there are 200 fairy tales in this that we are going to dissect. Yes, and I'm so excited for it. So stick around, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button if you did like this video, and click that bell so you never miss a video from me. And I will see you very shortly for another episode. Bye!